The life expectancy, this is the average life expectancy in 1895 time frame, was down around 47 years old. That means on average 47, that's the longevity of a person is 47. Now, you had a few centennials still back then, very, very rare. As we start moving in, and then we hit 1918, the last great influenza, it killed off a lot of young populations, so it dipped way down. But other than that, you can see that the life expectancy has got higher and higher and higher as we've gotten older. And we're up now into almost 80 years old for an average life expectancy. That's crazy. The problem is that they're not living well. Most of those seniors are really old. So our great grandfathers, when they would pass away, they're out in the field and they're working the field. They got pneumonia and they pass away fairly quickly, as opposed to being bedridden or hospice for years and years. So the quality of life, the quantity has gotten bigger, but the quality hasn't gotten bigger, and that's what we need to start changing in our society. So I wanted to finish this. We talked about allopathic and regular doctor. We talked about naturopathic. I totally believe in. I don't ever go to an allopathic doctor for a regular checkup. If I got a specific issue, I'll first go to my naturopath, and then depending, I'll go to him. But I work in my anyway. So functional medicine is starting to start to have healthcare insurance covering it now. They're starting to realize that that's the way to keep people healthier and keep them stronger. Because anyway. So here's one last thing here. Here's a list of 61 different types of doctors. So when I told you that I had my bonsai tree, they took me to the leaf specialist, number 50, let's say, and he's focusing on that. But the body is one big system. The brain talks to the gut through the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body, and the gut talks to the brain. In fact, 70% of the information goes from the gut to the brain. So to just look at the neurological brain only, absent of the gut, they're only seeing part of the picture. Functional medicine is looking at the whole thing. I want to talk about hormones right now, and mostly for guys, but gals too. This is a big topic, and it can be a voodoo topic that some guys don't want to address, but it is a really important one, and we're specifically talking about testosterone right now. I started testosterone 13 years ago, and we're going to talk about normal ranges and where but I do it through my naturopath. I do blood draws a couple times a year. So we'll talk about some of that. But low testosterone can have a lot of challenges with sexual function and desire of libido. Fewer spontaneous erections and potency. Okay, so that's one element right there, but that's not all of it. And I got another chart that's going to talk about all the challenges with low testosterone, and just summaries. It's going to help with having good testosterone, help with brain fog, fatigue, emotional, and so forth. So here is a list of low testosterone symptoms: fatigue, libido, mood, muscle mass loss, increased fat, decreased bone density, cognitive decline, sleep, reported hair loss, and that's a misnomer. That's because, but I'll explain that, and hot flashes. So the point is, if you're one of the books I read that got me started on testosterone, which I try to recommend to a lot of people. It's called The Life by Dr. Jeffrey Life. And
pass it.
Okay. And that's a book I recommend. It's an easy book to read because I'm not a casual reader, but it's what got me thinking about. He's an allopathic doctor. He got way out of shape, had a heart attack. And then he kind of, in his own way, he pioneered more of a functional medicine approach. He's now a functional medicine doctor. But that's a good place to go read and learn for yourself how the body ages. Because it's not in there, but I got an analogy that the difference between men and women is men are frogs and women are squirrels. And by that, a frog is a cold-blooded animal. and it loses its hormones slowly. And it's like putting a frog in a pot of cold water and put it on the burner. We've all heard this story. You heat it up. They don't have the sense to jump out because everything is normal, but they're cooking themselves to death, and they finally just die, and it's a slow process. Well, if we lose our testosterone, it's a slow, gradual process, and so it's not like the chipmunks, the women, where all of a sudden, boom, their estrogen or their other hormones, they crash, and all of a sudden they're emotional, or they're this, or they got physical challenges and so forth. They know something's wrong, so they go get those things checked. Guys are, we just start getting out of shape, start getting a belly on us, start low libido, and it's a downward decline. Anyway, so testosterone is absolutely necessary to get checked and get under doctor prescription. This is a chart that notionally shows the decline in testosterone versus age. There's obviously scattered in the data, but there's several published that are about like this. And me being a nerdy engineer, I made this chart right here, some research. Where did those lab ratings come from? They took 10,000 U.S. men, and they just randomly measured over time their testosterone levels, and they just plotted the numbers on there versus age, and it makes a bell-shaped curve as shown right here. They went down to the low 10% level, said, okay, that's the low level, and to the high level, 90% said that's a high level. So anything in between, that's 200 to 900 on the scale, and they said that's the therapeutic range. So you go to an allopathic doctor. Urologists are a little bit more forward thinking, but allopathic doctor, and you say, get tested, and you're at 220, they goes, oh, you're at normal range, we're not going to do anything about it. But you got all these problems, all those things we just said, and they're just oblivious to. Now, naturopath, that's where I like to encourage you to go to. There's also testosterone clinics out there you go to too, and they're okay, but they're not going to look at the whole body and try to keep you healthy and whatnot. I really recommend you do naturopath, and use a lot of times insurance companies will kick you in for blood work and stuff like that. Okay, so back to this. Back right here in 2011, I went and got tested. I was at 180. I worked with a naturopath. So I didn't really like the idea of doing injections, so we started out with a topical cream, and I put it on the inside of my arm once a day, and it raised my testosterone up to about 300, which is almost doubling, and that was good, but it wasn't enough. So I eventually went to doing self-administered injections on a weekly basis, and I purposely try to keep myself higher in the range. In the book, you're going to read, he's going to ask, I just have one question for you. If you line up all those 10,000 men, and they didn't have any control over it, some had heart disease, some had this, some had that. It's just 10,000 data points. If you line those all up from left to right of their testosterone, and you look at the guys in the low percentile, and you look at the demographic up there, what group do you want to be in? I want to be over there, because they're going to be the leanest, the strongest, and the best conditioned guys. So I say this because a lot of guys on social media will chastise us on doctor-prescribed testosterone. I'm not in favor of doing steroids in general for bodybuilding and not have. It's got to be under doctor prescribed. That's my feelings. But they're saying, decline is natural. Just go with it. That's God's saying or not, and you should live with it. Well, I'm going to fight that. I'm not going to believe that. Well, I made this chart right here. I've come across a couple of different surveys where they've actually have done studies. The green one was from 1987 to 1989, and then the blue is 95 to 97. The red is 2002 to 4. And it is showing a progression that the decline is increasing faster today than it was before. So in the 1900s, the decline would be a lot less than it is today. And so is that a natural decline? No. it's because of our food system and all of our just everything in our water supply and everything. Something in our environment is causing it to decline at a faster rate. So is that normal? No. And am I going to try to treat that? Absolutely. So if you want to drink the bath water that's normal and you want to stay natural, then that's on you. But you're at risk of all those other things that I had listed that could be challenges to you. So here's a nice little summary I put together of the different types of testosterone treatment plans. Testosterone can be an injection, and up until recently, intramuscular is now an option where they're using insulin needles and they're doing it in the sub-Q fat, just like an insulin will be for injection. And that's a lot more appealing to a lot of people. It also has some benefits that smaller doses every day doesn't tend to raise certain elements that you have to be careful about. And so that's just so the first one is intramuscular, excuse me. The second one is the sub-Q in the skin. I do the intramuscular, the number one, and once a week I'm doing my prescribed amount, and that's my approach. I did do number 3, which is the topical gels for a while. It just, because of the absorption and the chemicals, some people's skin, it absorbs better than others. So I would say if you're a newbie and you want to try the creams first for 3 months, get a blood draw, see where you're at, go back 3 months later, get a blood draw. If it moves the needle enough that you're happy, great. If it doesn't, then consider maybe a different option. And if you're not really the type of person that wants to do an injection, they have the transdermal patches that you can put on there. You can give that a try too. It's kind of like the cream, but see how that does. And the other one, where they actually literally go in and insert some pellets under the skin, and it's a slow release. I've heard some people say that they like that. I'm the kind of guy that just gotten used to doing the injection just once a week. Anyway, so I'm harping on this because there's so much confusion out there, and then somebody will think about it, and then somebody else will chastise them. Well, that's cheating and whatnot. I tell you what, if this is cheating, I'd rather cheat than be old, fat, and out of shape. So because it's not just appearance, it's your endocrine system, it's your whole body, it's your brain, it's your neurons, it's your blood vessels, it's everything that's getting better if you work it all together. And so that's why Mike invited me out here. And obviously I got all this stuff in my head and I don't want to overwhelm you. So here in a little bit, I'm going to give you some tools where you can go do your own research and not necessarily believe me, because you might hear some of the stuff I'm going to say, like I eat 8 eggs a day, and doctors will say, oh, that's going to spike your cholesterol and it's going to be terrible. That's the opposite. No, they don't know what they're talking about. But don't trust me, because someone else might get offended if I say that. Go look for yourself. Open your eyes and so forth, and begin to wait on here. Okay.
Can we take any questions?
Yep.
In your book here, this is really good information. What about for women? Do estrogen levels work the same way? If you were to go and talk to a doctor about your estrogen levels, is it going to affect, if your book talks anything about women and
This particular book does not. Okay. However, I would say everything I'm saying about testosterone and estrogen and progesterone and all of them, is just as important for women is for guys. Obviously, the masculine testosterone is going to be a much different dose. My beautiful wife out here, she does testosterone. She can testify how she felt before and how she feels now and whatnot. And it needs to be doctor prescribed because it's a much lower dose. And but all the other hormones are just as important. So that's where, if you go to an allopathic doctor, he's not going to check all that stuff. That's not his area of expertise. Not because he doesn't want to necessarily, but one, he's not necessarily trained in. But the medical insurance company will penalize him if he does stuff outside of their game plan. Gotcha. And so that's why you need to find a good naturopath. And I was hoping to find a really good naturopaths or two here in the area. So I would encourage you to call around to either Moses Lake and or I think Wenatchee and find one and then talk to them honestly about you say, hey, I heard about this one. Do you do hormone replacement if it's necessary and so forth? But once you start getting what those get, you'll start feeling better. And I haven't really told my story yet. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. It is true that we're living longer today, but at what extent? A 2013 British report since 1979 deaths due to brain relate has increased 66% in men and a staggering 92% in women. So it's a recent phenomenon that we're getting more neurological problems, dementia, Alzheimer's, and everything else associated with that. It's a modern day epidemic, and it's causing social problems. We've all been affected by loved ones, and we see them come, and we don't want that. And so if I could tell you, if you stop doing a few things you're doing right now, and you would dramatically, I would hope that would incentivize you to start being more proactive there. But Parkinson's, autism, migraines, depression, just all of those things that are starting in the brain. And there's two fundamental reasons that they're happening, maybe three. And one of them is way too much sugars in the diet and complex carbohydrates always in the system. A little bit is fine, but all the time, 24/7, is putting the brain at risk because the brain itself creates insulin too, lowering the cholesterol. And there's such a mantra. It's billions of dollars of incentive to keep people on cholesterol lowering drugs, and it's not helping them. I'm going to show you one video. It's only 2 minutes long. Let the expert tell you. I don't want to sell that to you because that sounds rather to a lot of people. But dementia is a $200 billion annual thing, and so there is an element that doesn't want to change the status quo because it's such a windfall of profit. So anyway, autism alone has increased 800% in the last 15 years, and it's due to our diet. Diabetes and everything else, new research, gut problems. Okay, let's talk about nutrition a little bit. I don't have all the charts in here, but I do. When I get ready for a bodybuilding show, I'm doing meal prepping. You go to my website, and at the bottom it says nutrition. You can see how I prepare my meals. I got a video. I can make 40 meals in 90 minutes and have the dishes done, have them in the freezer because I'm so efficient at doing it. My primary cutting food, that doesn't mean it's the only thing I eat, but when I'm cutting for a show, I'm eating lean ground turkey with a little bit of vegetables.
What does cutting mean?
Cutting is preparing for bodybuilding, where I try to get my fat down, my sub-Q fat primarily, and so there's two ways of losing fat. One is we all know that you need to have a calorie deficit. You need to eat 500 calories a day less than your normal maintenance, and I got a chart on the basal metabolism level, but reducing your calories. But that's not the only thing, because a calorie is not just a calorie. 100 calories of protein acts different in your body than 100 calories of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates will spike your insulin, and that's just normal process, because the whole purpose of insulin has two purposes. It wants to push the sugar out of the blood into the muscles, and that's why as bodybuilders we'll strategically take in a lot of sugar, because we want to try to fill those muscles up and push the water and the sugar and the salt and everything into the muscle. It is a very scientific process, but once it works, it's a pretty cool thing. So insulin is important to be able to do that. Insulin is also I got a quick little video. It's maybe about 1 or 2 minutes. He'll talk about insulin absolutely will not allow you to cut fat if you have high insulin, because its purpose in life is to block any other energy source from burning, because it wants to burn the glycogen, get it out. So if you're eating a lot of pastas and sugars and stuff like that, you can't. It's almost impossible to lose weight, even if you cut your calories way down. So anyway, I don't want to ramble too much.
Excuse me, I gotta go. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Great information.
Yeah, his grandchild has a
Baptism.
Baptist.
Like,
I gotta be in Tri-Cities
Nice to
in
meet you.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good talking to you.
Bye,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you.
I'll take patrol ahead of time.
All right, bye-bye.
Careful. I'll text you when we lock up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so there's about two or three things that I would encourage you to stop doing right now and start thinking about it. One is just totally stop taking, I'm going to go to the next chart first. Stop taking anything that we call seed oils. They sound healthy, they look healthy, they look clear, and it's the corn oil, the canola oil, which is a rapeseed oil actually, and the cottonseed. All these oils, in and of themselves, they're healthy products to start with. One of the problems, and it's not the main one, is they all got glycation and toxins due to spraying and stuff like that. That's just one element of it, but that's in our whole food system unless we eat organic. But that's not the worst thing. If you watch a video and they're on the internet, how do they process corn oil? You'll see that the process goes through, they grind it all up into a gooey gray paste. And then it's pretty nasty, and they have to use something called hexane, which is petroleum, which is a neurological chemical that can hurt you, and they use that to clean it up, and then they use other chemicals to get the smell out and everything. So it's highly processed, it's highly toxic. So this is number one. And this, you go on the internet right now and they'll say it's fine, don't worry about it. The internet's all messed up because it's those pages are being driven by big pharma and big food. Okay, so stop this right now. Just don't even do those. Trust me on this one. But I'll show you a whole bunch of social media pages that in 2 or 3 minutes will show you why you should eat them. The ones that you want to eat are what we call the low heat, because if you heat these up, they tend to they tend to burn, and so they're great on salads and drinking straight and so forth. You think about the blue zones in Italy and whatnot, the centennials, how many they've really brought it down to. It's the lack of all of the pesticides, and it's the fact that they're drinking olive oil on a regular basis. That's a big part of it. It's not necessarily the fact that they're getting resveratrol from wine and stuff like that. But anyway, so those are really heart healthy globes for drinking and putting in your coffee and stuff like that. The good ones for cooking are the coconut oils, the ghee butter, and the beef tallow, and those, because they got high burn rate heat, they don't give you problems with that. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. So cleaning up the sugars in your diet and the carbohydrates and getting these things out, that goes a long ways towards and improving your diet.